Hi guys, so today I'm going to do a walk around of a Bobcat 843 skid steer loader. This particular machine is an 843B. It's just painted as an 843. The 843 series machines were produced from 1982 until 1992. They discontinued the 843 model in 1990 with the introduction of the 853 C series loaders. However, they produced the 843B as a cheaper alternative to the 853 until 1992 when they phased out that product line. Then for a while they produced an 853 base model. So you did not have to get the Boss deluxe instrumentation if you didn't want it. So they started giving you the options with the 853. This way they didn't have to produce multiple machines. They produced one machine and just threw in whatever gauge package you wanted. The engines were all the same by that time. The 843 was powered by a 54 horsepower Perkins engine, diesel, and the 843B was powered by the 54 horsepower Isuzu diesel engine. It was thought that the Perkins engine was the better engine. However, over time the Isuzus proved to be more reliable. Many machines still have their original Isuzu engines, while many 843s have had their Perkins swapped out for Isuzus. This machine in particular is still, knock on wood, on his original Isuzu engine. This particular machine, Danger Zone, is a 1990 model. These machines were able to lift 10 feet high, which was pretty phenomenal for back in the late 80s, early 90s. He's 11 feet long, and he can be 5 feet 2 inches wide if you put inset tires on him. So he's just shy of that. With these tires, the tire size are 12 by 16.5. The standard bucket would be a 66-inch bucket, even though, like I said, you can bring them down to 60. Okay, so let's do this walk around. Standard equipment was the Bobcat system. As you can see here, the typical handle like you have today. Push it down, you lock, pull it up, you're unlocked. This hole was covered up by this little flap. As time went on, they went to an enclosed system. The 843 had standard auxiliary hydraulics. The 843B had optional auxiliary hydraulics. This machine, of course, my father got it equipped with the auxiliary hydraulics, and these are the backhoe mounts. From years ago, you used to have like the 911 backhoe, like you see in some of my videos. It has the arms that reach back, and it'll hook like that. And that's how you used to hook up years ago. And then there was a little screw that you used to screw like this, and that locked you onto the mount. It was a little primitive of a system, but it got the job done. There were some differences. As I noted with the auxiliary hydraulics, there were major differences. The major difference would be the 843 had servo-assisted steering, which made it easier to steer the machine. The 843Bs just had your standard lever system, so it was a little difficult to steer them around. It was a little more effort-wise to do. As far as the 843 was concerned, it also had self-leveling. So like when you lift the arms, the bucket stayed level. That was standard. It was on all the time. Today you can get the bucket positioning feature. You could turn it on and off with the gauge package from today, but back then the 843, it was on all the time. The 843Bs did not have it. You were able to, lights were standard on the 843. The 843B, they were an option. This machine basically came as a bare bones piece of equipment. Okay, both machines lifted 1,700 pounds. Both machines weighed just under 6,500 pounds. They were the exact same shell of the machine. It was just those few options that I just noted. What would be considered like convenience options were optional on the 843B, standard on the 843, and that's what made the B series machine cheaper. It was a cheaper line of machine for the buyer who wanted to save some money. So let's go around here. The tires are 12 by 16.5. It's a radius lift path machine. This is your auxiliary hydraulic fill, and this is the auxiliary hydraulic dipstick. You got a grease point here, grease point there. That's typical of any radius lift path machine. It had a single light in the back. That light, with one click of the light switch, it would turn on both front lights, and the rear light would be red. Another click, that light would become a white halogen light for visibility. The tailgate, you pull this up, turn it, and it opens. This grill was for breathing of air. So even on this machine without a transversely mounted engine, you still had very good access to your maintenance points. This is auxiliary hydraulic. I'm sorry, this is your coolant container where the excess coolant goes. This is your radiator. Under this grill, you remove those two bolts, as you can see there. Remove them, pop this up, access to the radiator. Mufflers under here. As you can see, that says Isuzu. You can fill your engine oil through this cap. I believe it was a 4-cylinder, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, 4-cylinder. Okay, underneath this protected plate, you've got the alternator, the starter, and the alternator belt. Come down here, you have your engine, you have your fuel filter right here. Now, years ago, it used to have like a glass bulb at the bottom where water would be contained, and you would drain that out. I had the kit updated. They started selling new kits. So this is actually a 352 filter, which you could find on machines today. So that was a nice thing that I was able to update, that you didn't have to worry about those ridiculous fuel filters. Battery is right here, plenty of access. This is hydraulic oil filter. This is your air filter. Push and hold this button, and that'll tell you if your filter is good or bad. I changed it recently, so it's good to go. But if it wasn't, a red ring would appear there to let you know that your filter was clogged. That was your early warning systems back then. You fill your engine oil through here. That's how I fill it. This is your engine oil dipstick, so you're able to check that. You got your two radiator hoses here. So like I said, even though it's not a transversely mounted engine, you still had very, very good access to your daily maintenance items, which back in this time was a phenomenal feature. No other brand of manufacturer really had it. But the only negative about this is, see all the way in the back here, that white filter, that's your engine oil filter. So that was a little bit of a heartache to get to. Close up the tailgate. You were able to lock it with a nice master padlock through this hole. That would lock your tailgate good and tight. This is your ID plate back here with the serial number. This is a warning sticker and patents. Exhaust. Come around to this side, you have your fuel tank. Here's your fuel fill right up there. This is just the right side, 12 by 16.5 tires all the way around. As we stated before, standard bob attach. No power bob attach back in these days. And this was not available back in the day. This is a 14-pin electric control kit. I had it added for a dozer blade. I don't have the dozer blade anymore. When you step up into the machine, you'll see that it has a optional strobe light, and these are your two front headlights. This is your step here. This is for the front door. I have the front door off for the summer. I'll be putting it on soon for the winter. Okay, so this cab is not really an original 843 cab. I'll point out what is original. We have the original this is an original light switch. As I said, turn it on once. This is for optional lights. If the beacon light was plugged in through that, your beacon light would turn on, but it's not. I have it plugged into a separate switch. A little bit easier to deal with. This one turn, as you can see, turns on your front headlights. And obviously I wasn't able to get an original light, so if you could tell, that light is off. Click it again. As you can see, that light comes on. Okay, so you got your 2 fuses. This is the ignition fuse and the fuse for your electrical. Sorry. This is the original hour meter. He has approximately 13,000 hours. This meter has been replaced more than a couple of times. It doesn't work currently, so he's been stuck on 1429 for quite some time. This was your gauge package from back in the day. You had your fuel, you had your voltmeter, you had your engine temperature. These were in black and white. These have all been updated to the newer F-Series gauges. These are your 2 warning lights. This is for engine oil. This is for transmission fluid or hydraulic oil maybe. I'm sorry, not transmission fluid. This machine is equipped with the cab enclosure. So these are your windows. They slide back and forth. The back window is stationary, basically as it is today. Your front door would hook onto these hinges. This is your plug for the windshield wiper, and this is for the door shock. This is an original heater from the 40 series. This is the filter. This is the coolant hoses. Be careful, these could burn you. And you also have to disconnect them if you want to tip the cab back. You have to disconnect these 2. It's like the older style auxiliary hydraulics. You had the pin that you had to pull back. It's a little bit of a heartache. This is an updated suspension seat. It says Bobcat, rear window. This was your emergency pull guard. You untwist it to get it off. Okay, so you would have had your key switch here. So now we're going to cover all the updates. This is your switch for the heater, on and off. That's all you had. You don't have speeds. It's one and done. Okay, so the updated stuff. This is a keyless start system that Bobcat produced in the mid-90s until 2000 when the G-Series machines came out. It has 2 programmable codes. These are your numbers. You have to push. If you want the number 3, you got to push up high. If you want the number 4, you push down low. This is the stop button to shut the engine off. This is to start the engine. And if you have an 843 like I have, the auxiliary relief button is the preheat button. You had to manually preheat these machines, not like today where it glows automatically. So you had to preheat the machine. You push and hold this, and that gives you your preheat function. Otherwise, it acts as your auxiliary relief for newer machines. Okay, come over here. You have your strobe light. This is how I plugged in my strobe light. Push that, it'll turn on. That'll turn it off. Okay. Seat bar. This is pretty much the original seat bar. This is a newer series seat bar from the F series. This is the heavy duty spring. It used to be a compression seat bar. But this pulls down. And as you can see, this pushes this bar will push this lock down, which will free up your foot pedals down here. When you lift the seat bar up like this, your foot pedals are now in the lock position. So that was your safety back in the day. Your safety system. That's original to this machine. This is your parking brake. And this is a radio. And you got your speakers mounted back here. And I also have a little oscillating fan. It turns on, if you could see up here, I don't know if you could see it, right where my finger is, that's where the switch is at. There you go. See, this is the switch to turn it on and off. You have low speed and high speed. So you actually have speeds with this fan, which is pretty good. Okay, I'm going to start him up. So I'm going to enter in my code. You see he's energized. If you want to turn on your strobe light, there you go. Now the strobe light is on. Okay, and the fan, you flip the switch. There you go. Good to go. And this is a interior dome light. Again, that's an added feature. Not available back in the day. Alrighty, so that just about covers everything in the cab. And these machines were single piston. They didn't have the dual pistons like you do now. You had one on each side. They had a single piston. Bobcat felt there was less hoses and less things to break. It was a little bit of a weaker system. A lot of the machines used to crack in this spot, or they used to crack over here. You used to have to weld them up, especially if you use the backhoe attachment a lot, which my father did. Had the 911 backhoe. Got your D-rings here and here for your auxiliary attachments. Alrighty. So this pretty much covers the 843, 843B walk around and review. As far as I'm concerned, I love this machine. I still do. They are still great machines for snow removal or some small landscaping, homeowners, even though a majority of them are going to be 25 and over now. So they're a little bit of older equipment, but they're great because they're just typical, easy, standard machines. No computer nonsense, no Tier 4 nonsense. They're all good to go. So any questions, comments, please leave them in the box below. Thank you guys and have a good night.